ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Ravens, Dolphins. This is why we love the National Football League, and this is why you don't listen to me, your man, Louie T. Now, the only thing I told you that you could expect from this game is that it was going to be closer than you thought. Was it going to be this ass-kicking, that we usually think we're going to get? And the key term there is think we're going to get on Thursday night when we see a bad team coming. But I thought the Ravens would run away and hide by end's game, But the Dolphins had other ideas. And for as bad as they've looked this season at times, and there have been some games where they looked like they didn't even belong on an NFL field. For as bad as they've looked at times, this was a hell of a performance. Gutty by this Dolphins team. Quick turnaround after getting their first win of the season since week 1. So they had lost 7 straight games. And then they win on Sunday over the hapless Houston Texans. Quick turnaround. Ravens went to overtime on Sunday. That had nothing to do with them looking out of sorts tonight. They just got beat up by a Dolphins defense that was determined to win this football game. And I've got some things to say about this Ravens offense tonight. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but I want to start out talking about this Dolphins football team because to the victors go the spoils. And this hasn't been the season that they thought it was going to be. After winning 10 games last year and coming within a game of making the postseason, there were high hopes for the Dolphins coming into this season. And one of the reasons why was because of performances like tonight. This defense was supposed to be the catalyst. It was supposed to be able to drive this Dolphins team to some victories while the offense tried to figure some things out. And they figured with Tua, being in year 2 and drafting Jalen Waddle and, adding in guys like Will Fuller V, that this offense would be dynamic and explosive. You were getting a guy like Albert Wilson back from COVID, who was out last year. And you just figured, okay, all of this speed. Jakeem Grant was here earlier in the year. They traded him to the Bears. All of this speed, all of these dynamic playmakers. We only got one football, but, man, it's going to be fun trying to spread it around to all of these guys. I still felt like one of the biggest offseason misses for the Dolphins was not addressing the running back position. They just figured, well, we're good. Myles Gaskins is fine. His former teammate at Washington is fine. Salvon Ahmed. They're fine. We're fine. No, you're not fine. You should have drafted a running back. This is ridiculous. But that said, the offense wasn't supposed to be the driving force for this team this year. It's supposed to be this defense. You spent money on Byron Jones. You had to cough up some more cash this offseason for Xavier Howard and redo his deal and structure it in a way that would make him happy. You've done things, on this defense to give you a chance, spending first-round draft picks out of the wazoo, whether it be on Noah Igbenogany, who's not even playing, or, Jalen Phillips, who's, out there at defensive end, or you see a second-round pick who is absolutely balling. I mean, this guy is tearing shit up in Javon Holland out of Oregon, your second-round pick. I mean, there's tons of high draft pick capital on this defensive line. Christian Wilkins, another former first-round pick on that defensive line. This is a team that has spent a lot of resources on its defense, and they expected it to play like it did tonight all season long, and it hasn't. That said, the offense, they need more from it. And this wasn't a picture-perfect offensive performance, but what this was a team victory. And I thought Troy Aikman hit it right on the head because I thought of that same game watching this one. Last year, the Rams marched into Miami and marched out with their tails tucked between their legs and got their asses handed to them. And the Dolphins, I think that was Tua's first start in the NFL. I think Tua threw for less than 100 yards in that game, and the Dolphins dominated. They had a special teams return. They had a defensive touchdown return for a touchdown, and they just pretty much won that game on special teams and defense, and the offense just didn't mess it up. And that's what it felt like tonight. The Ravens made a mistake, one that they generally don't make on special teams, with Justin Tucker missing a field goal. I mean, take a picture of that, because that's not going to happen many more times this season. But he missed a field goal early on, and the Dolphins just did everything right defensively, everything right on special teams, including kicking, deciding to punt the football from essentially midfield on a 4th and 1. And I agree with it. A lot of people thought it was the Dolphins playing not to lose. I thought he was just playing to his strength, because, look, our defense is playing lights out tonight. Why give the Ravens any momentum in the football out near midfield? Why do that? Punt the football. Now, could he have ever imagined that his punter was going to lay that bad boy down at the 1, and one of the best special teams players in the league, Mac Hollins, was going to run down there and down it at the 1? No, he probably didn't envision it going that way. But that's what happened. And no, he probably didn't envision the Ravens then marching the football 99 yards down the field, aided by a couple of penalties. One I agree with, one that I did not. And scoring a touchdown with their worst field position of the night. But that's nor here nor there. Even that was a good decision, because even though the Ravens scored it, they had to bleed clock to get down into the end zone. So at the end of the day, Brian Flores pushed all the right buttons, including a challenge of a Mark Andrews catch that wasn't a catch, that negated a 14-yard gain, that stopped any Ravens momentum and brought up a 3rd down that they ultimately had to punt the football. Brian Flores pressed every right button tonight, and I thought they were super aggressive on defense. They gave the Ravens a dose of their own medicine, because the Ravens are usually the team that's uber aggressive on defense, even to a fault, as we saw tonight, where they come after your quarterback and force you into mistakes they're hoping, or maybe you make a great read, make a great throw, and it's a catch and run because there's not a lot of defenders on the back end. But the Ravens weren't doing that. The Dolphins were getting to Lamar Jackson. They sacked him like 4 or 5 times. They pressured him. They made him uncomfortable. He missed some throws. His receivers dropped some throws. They fumbled the football, scoop and score. The Dolphins did it all defensively. They did it on special teams. How about the decision by Flores? Again, this is when you get paid as a coach. In-game decision-making, in-game management. This is where you make your money, okay, during the game. You have to be able to manage men. You have to be a leader of men. That's off the field. That's non-game day related, okay? How you handle your roster, how you handle the players in your locker room. That's how coaches are assessed off the field. When it comes to the actual game, how do you handle in-game situations, and how do you manage the clock? Well, Brian Flores, I thought, made every right decision tonight, from challenging to even calling that timeout at the end of the first half. Troy Aikman's like, yo, what are you calling a timeout for? You should be happy. The game is tied at 3. You should feel fortunate. Just go to the halftime break, tied at 3. And he's like, what? We can get a field goal out of this. We got 2 timeouts. There's about 55 seconds left. I'm not going to the halftime break sitting on 2 timeouts. And they moved it right down the field, got in the field goal range, big play to Rudy Ford. And just like that, or is it Rudy Ford? I might be thinking about the Jaguars safety. Anyway, Ford, big play by Ford. And just like that, they're in the field goal range, and they end up getting a Jason Sanders field goal right before the half, 6-3. And so he pressed all the right buttons tonight. The defense was on its A game, looking more like the defense from last year than the defense we've seen this year. And the offense, all they essentially did was not to F it up. They essentially stay out of the way. Don't do anything ridiculous. Don't turn it over. Don't put this defense in a compromising position. Just stay out of the way. We'll take care of the rest. The offense did that. And then when they got an opportunity late to put it away, it was a struggle, as it was all night for this Dolphins football team in the red zone. This time, they finally got it into the end zone. And wow, 22-10 Dolphins victory out of nowhere. That's 2 straight for the Miami Dolphins, who 2 weeks ago were 1-7 and looked like one of the worst teams in football. Now, 2 weeks later, and this is what I talk about all the time. When I talk to Washington fans, all it takes is one win. They beat the lowly Houston Texans. That's it. The worst team in football. One of the worst teams, because you still got the 0-8 Lions, who are absolutely disgusting. But they beat one of the worst teams in football in the Houston Texans, and now look at their confidence. It's through the roof. They're out there dancing and shit. Oh, got them down here, turned up against the wall, y'all. They're out here dancing and shit, having fun. That's what football's all about, having some fun. One win against the damn Texans did that to their psyche. Sometimes you just need one. They got one. Now they got two. Miami Dolphins, what an impressive performance tonight by the Dolphins, specifically on defense and special teams. And I thought Brian Flores coached his ass off tonight. And, coaching is all about making some tough decisions. Do I challenge? Do I not challenge? Do I use my timeouts here? Do I not use my timeouts? Do I push the gas and be aggressive here? Do I pull back and use restraint? Everybody wants to go for it on fourth down. That's the new trend in the league now. No one wants to punt. It's almost like it's some kind of taboo or sin to punt. Not when your defense is playing the way the Dolphins defense was playing tonight. I agree with the move, even though they ultimately scored on that possession. I agreed with the move. And in doing that, the Ravens had to burn off another 3-4 minutes of the clock to get into the end zone, which ultimately aided them at the end of the game in winning this football game. So I just thought he pressed every right button, and his team responded to him. Sometimes you question, is a team quitting? When you're having a rough season, you start looking for the tall tale signs. Is a team quitting on their coach? That's not a question in Miami right now. And this game is living proof of that. The Dolphins came ready to play, and they looked like the superior team tonight. They really did. And, as we transition to from the Dolphins to the Ravens, I'd love to say to you out there that I'm surprised by this. I'm really not. I mean, I told you guys the Ravens had been living on the edge all season long. I said this, I can't tell you how many times, but I said the Ravens could easily be the inverse of what their record is. They came into this game at 6-2. They could have easily been 2-6 coming into this game. And I've pointed out the 4 games. You could easily say it was 5. I've pointed out the 4 games that they should have lost. Not could have lost, should have lost. They should have lost to Indianapolis. They should have lost to Kansas City. They should have lost to the Detroit Lions. They should have lost to the Minnesota Vikings, okay? They should have lost all of those games, but they won all of those games. And because of that, they sat there at 6-2, but they've been living on the edge all season long. And I'm not going to lie to you, I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. I'm out there on socials tweeting out, hey, this is cute what the Dolphins are doing, but in my mind, they had squandered too many opportunities in the red zone, and they had left this game there for the taking. And after they didn't get the 2-point conversion and it's 15-3, I'm like, it's a damn shame they're still going to lose this game. What was it? I tweeted out 17-15, then I changed it to 18 because I said the Ravens are going to go for 2. They're not going to let that lead be 2 points. They're going to either miss the 2-point conversion, it's going to be 16-15, or they're going to get it, it's going to be 18-15, but they're not going to kick the extra point and make it 17. So, and it looked like, and I thought I was right, even up until that last Dolphins possession that resulted in the touchdown. Even, after that Sammy Watkins, scoop and score fumble, they scooped up and ran it in Xavier Howard. I said, they're still going to lose this game. And then the Ravens marched it down the field. I was like, yep, they're going to win this game. And the Dolphins, they came out, they ran it. I said, oh, here they go with that bullshit. They can't run the football. They can't run the damn ball with Myles Gaskin. And sure enough, on second down, the Ravens had a mental breakdown at the worst time of the game. Nobody goes with Albert Wilson out of the backfield, and he is just all alone down the sideline. And Tua didn't miss him, and that put him in position. I thought the Ravens defensively, because they had done it all night, I thought they were going to get a stop and make this thing 18-10 and give themselves a chance. And I said, if they score a touchdown, they get the 2-point conversion. They're going to do what they did to Indianapolis. They're going to do what they did to Minnesota and all these teams that they took to overtime when they had no business winning these games. They're going to take them to overtime, and they're going to beat them 21-18. What the Dolphins said, nope, not us, not tonight. We worked too hard to put ourselves in a position to win this game. We are not giving this away. And, of all people, Myles Gaskin with a big run on after they had the false start penalty on Robert Hunt to back them up into a 2nd and 9, from the about 14. He runs that baby for a 8-yard gain and makes it 3rd and 1. What a run. I mean, I didn't expect that. That was a big play because if he gets 3 yards on that play and it's 3rd and 6, they're not getting the first down. They're going to have to settle for a field goal, and they're going to lose this game. They're going to lose this game 21-18 in overtime. But instead, he gets 8. They get the 3rd and 1 conversion. He gets inside the 2-yard line, and Tua sneaks it in, and that's all she wrote. And wow, the Miami Dolphins. Who would have thought? I damn sure didn't. Who would have thought the Miami Dolphins would do what they did? But let's talk about this Ravens football team. Offensively, this is where the game was lost. The Dolphins did nothing on offense. So the Ravens defense, even though they had that blunder late where they give up the big play to Albert Wilson when all they needed was a stop to get it back to the offense and potentially win the game, they gave this team a chance to win the game. That one play doesn't define the defensive performance of the night. They were outstanding in the red zone all night long for the most part. All night long, all night. Oh, all night long, all night. But this Ravens offense, oh my goodness, it was absolutely terrible tonight. They had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And the Dolphins just said, here it is. Baltimore, here it is. Man across the board. Pressure package. 7 in the box. 7 at the line of scrimmage. Here you go. Read it and weep. What are you going to do? You don't have 7 to block my 7. You got 6. Someone's coming hot. What are you going to do? They needed one guy to win. And consistently throughout the night, they couldn't get the one guy to win. And there were times when the Dolphins threw variations at them. You know, you could tell when it was straight man-to-man because they would play a lot tighter. And then, you know, when it was some form of zone, when they were going to, you know, have some guys drop out, they'd back up a little bit, create a little bit more space. But all in all, they essentially said, we coming after you, dog. What y'all gonna do about it? And I was ashamed. I was mortified. I'm not even a Ravens fan. And I'm watching this and I'm saying, hey, what are we doing tonight, guys? Seriously, what the hell is this? We can't beat one-on-one? And how about this steady diet of outbreaking routes when they're giving you the middle of the football field? The one thing a defense doesn't want when they're coming with all-out pressure is for you to complete a pass over the middle of the football field. They'll give you the outbreaking route all day long. And I remember, you know, once upon a time, Kirk Cousins against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona, in a game that I thought we should have won. Cardinals come with an all-out pressure, and Jamison Crowder runs an out, and there's a receiver running a slant. And I'm like, Kirk, throw the slant. Kirk, throw the slant. He throws the out, and ends up getting picked off. And he didn't get enough on it with the pressure coming. He tried to throw it off his back foot. And the one thing a defense doesn't want you to do, they're inviting you to throw the outbreaking route, because the worst thing that can happen is you catch it and you run out of bounds. You know, maybe just like Rashad Bateman in the game at one point, caught it, kept his feet in bounds, and then got up the sidelines and almost scored a touchdown. That's rare. The more likely scenario is that you catch it and that defender pushes you out of bounds, or you catch it and your momentum takes you out of bounds. But you're not going to turn that into an 80-yard touchdown. Where the 80-yard touchdown may happen is if you throw that bitch over the middle of the football field, whether it's a slant or deep over route. They don't want you to throw that. They refuse to throw that ball tonight for whatever reason. I can't explain it, but everything was outbreaking. And I said, the Dolphins are inviting you to do this. They want you to take, that's the bait. They want you to take the bait. That's the trap. Throw it to the outbreaking route. Stay away from the inside route. They wanted you to throw the outbreak, and you refused to take advantage of what they were giving you. Literally, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times the Dolphins didn't have 7 guys mugging the line of scrimmage. I think I can count on one hand, which means even if they dropped 2 of those defenders out and they only came with 5, they still had a lot of field left to cover and a lot of space and opportunity for the Ravens to take advantage. And they didn't do it tonight for whatever reason. And then when they did get an in-breaking route, either Lamar's off balance and the ball's not there, or Hollywood Brown's dropping it, or Sammy Watkins is fumbling. Like, they could never take advantage of what the Dolphins literally played coverage all night, like literally man-to-man, 85% of the time tonight. A couple of times they tried to disguise it. But again, anytime you see 4 defenders across the board playing 10 yards off, it's zone, okay? You're not playing man with that kind of space. You're playing zone, and you're going to have a couple of those guys mugging the line of scrimmage, dropping out of there, right? But for the most part, they were man across the board. Come and get some. And the Ravens had no answer. All this speed. Sammy Watkins can run. Hollywood Brown can run. Rashad Bateman can run. And nobody can get open against man-to-man coverage? Yikes! And I know Lamar didn't have a ton of time. And so you try to just get it out of his hands quickly, but you got to do something. I mean, you knew what they were doing. For that to happen in the first or second quarter, sure. Okay, fine. I get it. Yep. Mm-hmm. You caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it. Now it's time to make some adjustments. This is what you want to do? Okay, this is how we're going to combat that. And the Ravens' first half formula was, oh, you're going to try to blitz us? We're going to throw a screen. We're going to throw it out to our receivers, get a couple of blockers out in front. And the Dolphins are like, we're not having that shit. Okay, we're going to make the tackle. That shit's not happening. So then the Ravens said, okay, well, what's plan B? They didn't have a plan B. That was where the problem really was, is that the plan A was, okay, you're going to try to attack us aggressively, man-to-man coverage. Well, we're going to throw these screens. Well, the Dolphins was like, okay, go ahead, throw your damn screens. We're just going to rally up and tackle. Oh, and they tried to run it. Not happening tonight. You can run your little jet sweeps. You can look to your little touch pass. All of that shit. It's not happening tonight. Lamar running. No, not we are not the Minnesota Vikings. Lamar will not have 21 carries for 120 yards. Not happening. Try again. So they essentially challenged the Ravens and said, hey, this is what it is, bro. Come and get it. Man-to-man across the board. We mugging the line of scrimmage and we blitzing. What you going to do about it? They played this shit like it was Madden. This is what you do to a novice Madden player. You threaten his ass with blitzes left and right, and you see if he can handle the pressure. And the Ravens couldn't handle the pressure. Like an all-pro Madden player, they couldn't handle the pressure tonight. Lamar's throwing off of his back foot, ball skipping, guys are dropping passes. They're not getting good route combinations against the coverage that they're seeing. They play zone, and then they finally get the look they need, and Hollywood Brown drops the football. And that wasn't a great throw by Lamar. Catch the goddamn ball. I don't give a shit. It's the same shit he did against the Lions, dropping shit left and right. For as good as Hollywood Brown, Hollywood can be, man, does he drop the damn football. That third down that I'm referencing, the Dolphins are dropping out of there. It's zone. They were playing off and soft. They're giving you anything underneath. He catches that slant, and if Lamar gives him a better ball, he's running. It's off to the races. You know, Andrew Van Ginkel from the backside isn't coming and catching Hollywood Brown, okay? It's a foot race now. But even after that, even though it's a low ball, go and catch it and then get the first down. Steve drops the ball. The offense for the Ravens tonight was nasty. It was dirty. I felt dirty after watching it. I feel like I need a bath. I was disturbed because a 6-2 team shouldn't be perplexed by that simple of a coverage, which was literally, hey, we blitzing the draws off of you. Do something about it. That's piss poor. That's on Lamar. That's on these receivers. But most importantly, that's on the offensive coordinator. Because you got to find a way to exploit that. And they never did. Throwing your steady diet of 5-yard speed cuts, that ain't it. That's not it. That's not the answer to what they were doing tonight. Let's see if we got any comments, any super chats. And if we do, we'll take those first, and then we'll get to some comments from you guys out there. We do have some super chats. So, let me just say this. The Ravens at 6-3, I've said this already. This season feels like a house of cards that's only being held together by Lamar Jackson's MVP candidacy. Outside of that, The defense isn't the Ravens defense that we've come to know and love. It's too many guys in that secondary that's banged up. And so they're like a splitting image. They're a shadow of what they should be, right? They're not what we have come to know and love with the Ravens, aggressive, attacking, defensive style. Like teams are going after Anthony Averett weekly. All right. There's just not enough stuff back there, with Jimmy Smith being out, with Marcus Peters being out, and all of the guys that are out. They just lost a safety last week for the season. Like it's just too many funny lookings back there. Geno Stone shouldn't be playing a ton of snaps, but he is. He doesn't have a choice. They don't have got the healthy bodies that they should. Defensively, it's catching up with them on the defensive side of the football, but even still, the defense was fine tonight, good enough for them to win. This offense simply was not good enough. I feel like this Ravens team has been a house of cards all season. They're still going to make the postseason. Don't get it twisted. They're still one of the best 7 teams in the AFC. And I think when it's all said and done, they may ultimately win the AFC North, although that division is just wild because every team in that division has 5 or more victories, which is crazy because I didn't think that would be the case. I didn't think after watching the Steelers after the first 4 weeks, they stink. And Cincinnati, this is cute what they're doing, but they're not going to keep this up. Well, they have. And the Browns, you could argue that a couple of weeks ago, I left them on the mat and I was giving them the 10 count. And I was at 6, 7, and they got up, put their mouthpiece back in their mouth. And I'm talking to them. I'm saying, hey, Cleveland, you with me? Let me see your gloves. Come on, take a step towards me. Let me see your gloves. And they showed me their gloves. They took a step towards me. They went back out there and they went to Cincinnati and they beat the brakes off of those boys. Put 40 on their skull. And I said, oh, shit. Well, they're alive and fighting. So this thing is wide open. They're going to make the postseason. I don't expect them to do damage when they get there because I said on the podcast earlier today, I said I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins give them everything they are looking for because this is what they've done this season. They've allowed teams that have no business being in the game with them, like Detroit, to feel like they can win the game. Indianapolis, when they beat Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken, Indy was a 1-win team at that point. Hadn't found their stride yet. I'd already said this is one of the better 1-win teams, though. If they were 1, they might have been a 2-win team at that point. But whatever the case may be, I said this Indy team isn't what the record reflects. But still, they're a 1-win team, 2-win team max at that point. You put the boots to them early. Let them know this ain't your night. This is not tonight. And they'll fold up like a cheap lawn chair. But they don't do that. They didn't do that to Detroit. They didn't do that to Indy, and they didn't do that tonight. So I knew they were capable of losing this game. I didn't think they would, though. And that's the thing, is that they always found a way this season to this point to win. Even when it hasn't been pretty, they've been doing the little things at the end of the game in the fourth quarter to find ways to pull out these types of games. They didn't do that tonight. When the offense finally got it together and scored, the defense needed to make the stop. I call it a shutdown drive. Just like in baseball, you go out, you score some runs, you tell your pitcher, I need a shutdown inning. Don't let them get any of those runs back. I need a shutdown inning. Get it back to get the red hot offense back up to the plate. This Ravens defense finally had a little bit of swag, a little bit of momentum. They needed a shutdown drive from that defense to get it back to them so that they could try to win this game 18-15. And what did the defense do? Defensive breakdown and Albert Wilson for about a good 65 yards, putting them in a position to put this game away. Shame on the Ravens tonight. Let's see what comments we have. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, any chance we get to whoop the Bucks like this? Wishful thinking? Hell no. Somebody else, my guy, damn, who was I talking to on Twitter? I don't know why I can't think of my man's name right now. It'll come to me. But we were talking and he said, look, there's no reason we can't do this to Tampa Bay. If a 2-7 Miami Dolphins team can come out with a spirited effort like this and fight, and they hadn't won the game at the time when he said this. He said, then we should be able to do it. And I can see it's killing me. It's eating me up. I got to go and find his name now, because if I don't, I'm just going to be thinking about it while I'm talking to y'all the whole night. I'm just going to be thinking about his name and trying to think of it, and it'll distract me the entire time. So I'm going to go and find my guy, B Militant. All right. He said, I'm just going to read the tweet to you. Shit. I just pulled it up. Might as well just read it to you. He says, if a 2-7 Dolphins team can come out and play inspired like this, I need to see Washington do something this week. Not saying win, just show me something, or else it's not looking good on Ron. And my response to that was, two different teams. Dolphins secondary is full of dogs, and Ravens leaving a lot of meat on the bone tonight. Trust me, the Bucs will not do the same. He says, besides our O-line injuries, what's different from the playoff game versus the Bucs? It's lining up to make Ron not look so good if it seems we are going backwards. Bad offseason moves, bad draft picks, and then clearly looking like we aren't moving forward. People are going to be upset. And my response to him was, the biggest difference was the mentality of the team is the biggest difference. That team last year believed with proven success, meaning they had won games. They believed in what Ron and the coaching staff was preaching because they had seen tangible evidence with wins. I said, this year's team doesn't have that. They don't have that. And take it a step further. Last year, the Buccaneers didn't have their best defensive player. All right. Devin White didn't play. He's going to play this year. Okay. There will be no Taylor Heineke surprises. They know what he is. That's another thing that was different in last year's game is Taylor Heineke. It was an unknown, a relative unknown, and the Buccaneers didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Bruce Arians said this week, hey, we were preparing for Alex Smith, a guy that we knew where his address was. We knew where to send that mailed, licked envelope of a sack. We knew where to send that and put it in the mail. He'll be right there behind center. He can't run. Man's running on one leg. So when we trotted Taylor Heineke out there late in the week, Buccaneers were like, wait, what? They can't do that shit. That's not legal, right? We throw Heineke out there. He's running all over the place, and they don't have their best linebacker. A lot of things are different this year than last year. But any chance we do this? No. Not. I wouldn't bank on that. So I'll just leave it at that. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat and doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Big Money Sonny, who writes, River Hunt is my hero. Hey, that catch, man. Robert Hunt. I tweeted this out like, yo, look, I know he wasn't the eligible receiver on that play, and the ball was not intended for him. And why he thought, look, it's coming my way, I might as well catch the son of a bitch and run it in. I don't know why he thought that, but he did. You know, he had no clue where the running back was, Myles Gaskins, on the play. He just said, look, the ball's in my general vicinity. Either I catch it or maybe a Ravens player catches it if I don't. So I'm going to just snatch this bitch out of the air, and I'm going to take it the distance. And look, with the confidence that he caught that football and turned up the field, I said, shit, is he eligible? Did they sneak him onto the field? You know, because I know Robert Hunt's their starting guard. I'm thinking, what, did they move him around? Because, you know, that's some trick play shit. When you're struggling in the red zone like the Dolphins were, maybe they pulled an old dipsy-do. And I'm like, of all people, though, you going to really throw it to your guard at the 9-yard line and ask him to get in? Nah, they couldn't have drawn up a play like that. But shit, he got that bitch, got downhill, and then they tried to take him out at the 2, and he's like, hell no, I'm stretching this bitch. And he stretched. I was like, look, wait, give him a touchdown. God damn, that was a hell of an effort. Had me hyped on my couch. Oh, man, that was great. Robert Hunt, he's all of our heroes, okay? I just love the stretch at the end, okay? Big man with football with the stretch at the end, sign me up for that shit 10 times out of 10. Anyway, I digress. Atypical brother. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Atypical brother writes, what up, Lou? What up, atypical brother? He says, so I saw a trend the last week in the NFL. I made a bet that the Dolphins would win. I got back earlier crypto type gains. Thanks, Vegas. Great show, Lou. Keep up the great work. Wow. I need some of your juju. I need some of your juice. If now I don't know how much you put down on the Dolphins. You could have put down a small piece of change. Nothing that was going to hurt your pockets. But if you put down any considerable amount of money, any sizable bet on the Dolphins to win that netted you a ton of profits and gains, as you say, wow. I need some of your juju. I need you to rub a little bit of that off on me because I didn't see this coming. I knew they would play the Ravens tough because this is what the Ravens have allowed teams to do all season long. But they've always found a way to win, and I just expected them to find a way to win. Why? Because bad teams do bad team shit. And I just expected at some point the Dolphins, not the Ravens fumbling and allowing the Dolphins to scoop and score, but the Ravens were going to force a fumble and scoop and score. And what do you know? They forced Tua to fumble. And Patrick Queen has the football right there. And he's muffling around. And he finally decides, hey, I should pick this up and run. And you know what? Liam Eichenberg said, shit, I probably was responsible for the guy that hit Tua. I should be the one to make sure this thing doesn't go 60 the other way for a touchdown. So he dives on the football. It reminded me of a play against the New Orleans Saints on a Monday night. It was Drew Brees' porn night, if you recall, back in 2018 when he broke the touchdown record on Washington. And we sat there for 3 hours and listened to Booger McFarland and Joe Tessitore and Jason Witten fawn over and fondle Drew Brees all night. It was the worst telecast I'd ever seen. Not just because my team got their asses handed to them thoroughly, but because they just went out of their way to just ignore the entire game and just focus on Drew Brees for 3 hours. Anyway, early in that game when we were still actually in the game, you know, Pernell McPhee has a golden opportunity to pick up a fumble and run the other way. And he just doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop-doop. Hi neighbor. Doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop. What a beautiful day outside. Doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop. Oh, there's the football. I think I'll pick it up. And then he went to pick it up, and a Saints player dives in. I think it was the running back, Ingram, dives in and takes the football from him, and they get the ball back. I'm like, are you kidding me? And that's how I felt about Patrick Queen. He was way too casual and leisure trying to pick that football up. I don't think he was wrong for trying to pick it up. I need more urgency. Hey, hurry up, okay? I don't think he saw that Dolphin offensive lineman coming in. That's a hell of a play. Just Superman dive. I mean, he laid out, and you know, a lot of times when a big guy dives like that, that ball comes squirting out. It's rare that you dive from the length he dove and cover it up without it squirting out. It's a hell of a play. And it really saved the game because if Patrick Queen picks that up, he's gone. That's a touchdown. It's a totally different game. It was the Dolphins' night. Anyway, congratulations, atypical brother, on the win. I need some of your luck. I need some of your juju. I'm struggling over here. All right. So those are the super chats. Now we get to the comment section. Hank Midas writes, how are these QBs throwing the football sideways? Is it all in the wrist? Yeah, I mean, when you throw it sideways, it's just about arm angle. You know, having the proper angle and slot that you drop your arm into is no different than a second baseman, you know, throwing the ball the first, or a shortstop throwing the ball to second base, trying to turn a double play. You're just dropping that arm slot down, and it allows you to get it out quicker, and you know, not have to go through the whole over the top motion that takes a lot longer. You're looking to get it out quick. You got a defender with his arms up, got a little slot angle there. Boop, drop it down 3/4 of the way and get it out. Some of it is wrist, but you're still using your upper body, your torso to throw the ball. It's just a matter of, you know, getting that proper slot and then throwing it and bringing it through. It's still upper body torque. You know, that's more so what you're doing, but it helps when you've got a strong arm and you got the flick of the wrist, you can get it out there. But it still takes, you know, a lot of that upper body strength to be able to throw it. Bentley Godwin, or Goodwin, excuse me. Bentley Goodwin writes, Howell looking pretty good against Kenny Pickett and Pitt. Definitely should check them both out. I think Washington will want an older quarterback like Pickett or Howell instead of a younger guy. Question mark. I'm not sure. I don't know. I got that game on record. It came on tonight at 7:30. I had it recorded. So I'll take a look at that game probably over the weekend and see what those two boys were talking about tonight. As far as Washington wanting a older, more seasoned college quarterback, if you listen to what Washington's GM said last year, Martin Mayhew, he said he would prefer a quarterback with multiple years of experience in college. That's what he said. That's not my words. Those are his words. If you listen to his analysis of, you know, the quarterbacks and, you know, their assessment of the guys that came out last year, remember, not those quarterbacks last year, some of them did, but not all of them had extensive bodies of work. You know, like Davis Mills, for instance, guy had like 11 collegiate starts. You know, Justin Fields only had 2 years as a starter at Ohio State. You know, Zach Wilson probably had the most starts of anybody. Trevor Lawrence did as well. But Trey Lance, that was the guy he was talking about when he answered the question. You know, 1 year at North Dakota State. So he pretty much said he would prefer to have a guy with a larger sample size and a body of work that gives you a little bit more confidence that he's not a one-trick pony or he's not a one-year wonder, that this is a guy that can do this year after year after year. You're looking for that kind of consistency. So would he want a guy with 2-3 years under his belt as a starter? Absolutely. I think they would be looking for a guy like that more so than a young guy that only started 1 year. But that said, and we're getting a bunch of those. Like most of the guys in the draft class this year are guys with 2-3 years as a starter under their belt. So I think that from that standpoint, but a lot of times what that means is they weren't talented enough to come out as a junior. They had to go back for their senior year or, you know, whatever the case may be. A lot of times that's what that means. If you're good enough, you're coming out as a redshirt sophomore. If you're good enough, you're coming out as a true junior after that season. Whenever you're eligible, you're coming out. But that's not always the case. Like Andrew Luck decided to go back to school. And I think Baker Mayfield went back for his senior year at Oklahoma. It's not always the case where you come out, but, you know, Justin Herbert could have come out a year earlier and he went back to Oregon. And it actually proved to be, I can't say it was the right decision because I think he would have been the first quarterback taken had he come out the year prior. But, you know, it turned out to be for the best. He's in a really good spot with the Chargers and he's winning football games. So we'll see what they decide to do. But I'm going to check that game out. And I do think they want a quarterback, not necessarily a younger versus an older quarterback, just a guy with experience. You know, you can have a quarterback that steps on campus as a 17-year-old, you know, because when I went to college or, you know, I just turned 18, you know what I mean? Like you get a guy's birthday in September, you can step on a college campus at 17 years old and be a 3-year starter and be 20. He's still a young guy, but he's got 3 years of experience versus a guy that's 23 that, you know, was in school for, you know, 5 years and had 4 years of starting experience, but he's 23. One guy's younger at 20, but he still got 3 years of experience as a starter. So I don't think they're looking for necessarily the younger guy as much as they're looking for the more experienced quarterback. Amar, 2 times official, writes, Lou, I think I'll pass on Tua coming here to Washington. Well, he's not coming to Washington, but again, I don't have any problems with Tua. You know, I know a lot of people don't love him, and around the league, it doesn't seem like a lot of teams think Tua's all that good. I don't think that you can make any determination on Tua, especially with the Dolphins' offense. I think their offense stinks. I think their play calling stinks. I think how they put their quarterbacks in position stinks. I think that they don't utilize the amount of talent that they have at the skill positions. But that's nor here nor there. Tua, I don't think he's not Herbert or Burrow from that year's draft class, but I don't think that means he can't be good. I really think he can be good in this league, but I seem to be in the minority in that thought process. Bentley Goodwin writes, Marty Herney and other Washington team members are at the UNC Pitt game, so they're doing their due diligence. They're going to be at any game that has a quarterback with a name in it. We're clearly in the hunt for a quarterback. That's apparent. And you don't need bifocals, or you don't need a new set of eyes to know that. All you have to do is watch this team, and we're in desperate need of a quarterback. Amar, 2 times official, writes, I'm not pressed for no mid-round quarterback this upcoming draft. Let's get the best defensive player available at our pick. We'll see how it goes. Again, we don't know what the quarterback class is going to be. We all think we know, but we have no idea. Again, a lot of us didn't like Justin Herbert. There were some out there that did. A lot of us were sour on Justin Herbert. And again, the league was too. The league spoke. If they would have known what they know now, he would have went number 1, or number 2, right behind Joe Burrow, in that draft. He would have been the number 2 pick in the draft. Right. And Washington would have taken him. But they didn't know that. And if the Dolphins would have known that, they would have taken him 5th overall instead of taking Tua. Nobody thought Justin Herbert was going to be, I shouldn't say nobody. Most people didn't think Justin Herbert was going to be what he turned out to be. So I said all that to say this. We don't know what's going to happen with this quarterback class. So we can't make any assumptions that, guys aren't going to be good and they're going to take they may take a mid-round quarterback. They may take him, but they may take him in the mid-rounds. They may take him in the 2nd round. If they don't love a guy, they won't take him in the 1st. You don't take a guy in the 1st round if you don't love him. Amar, 2 times official, writes, Xavier is really like that. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's one of the best in the business. He's definitely like that. Amar, 2 times official, also writes, we need more game changers / playmakers on the squad. Where should we start? I hear you begging for a free safety. I'm low key right there with you. Again, you saw what Javon Holland, does for this Dolphins defense. They blitzed him. He can go back deep, play the center field. You saw the hit that he put on, I want to say it was Duvernay on the first possession of the game, laying him out on the sidelines. Like, this dude does everything. And then after blitzing Lamar and getting him down for a sack, on 3rd down, he's back there returning and fielding a punt. Like, that dude's a playmaker. He's a baller. And we don't have one of those at free safety. I actually really like Brandon Jones, too, the safety out of Texas that they drafted. I want to say in the 3rd or 4th round. Not this past draft, but I want to say it was the draft before. It might have been this draft. I might be tripping. I think they got 2 rookie safeties. They doubled down on the safety position this year. And Brandon Jones is playing his ass off, too. Like, the Dolphins, they did a really good job, in overhauling his defense. I still think they don't have a true difference-making pass rusher yet. And I like Jalen Phillips. I thought he was the most natural pass rusher in this year's draft, but I thought it was a weak draft class for pass rushers. We saw 2 of the young good ones in the game in Adafi Owe for the Ravens, and we saw Jalen Phillips, who I believe got a half a sack tonight. So, Metaphor writes, thank you first and foremost for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, hold on a second. Okay. Who writes, Tucker missed a field goal, turning point. Cut him. I knew somebody was going to do that, and I knew it was going to be you because, like I said, you're a tremendous troll. You're good at what you do. And I knew somebody was going to do that tonight. I didn't know if it was going to be you or somebody else. But, yeah, he missed. It happens. He's human. Sometimes we forget that Justin Tucker is human because he's automatic almost. So you just assume, oh, okay, it's a good field goal. That's 3 points. But he missed. And now he'll start a new streak. And he won't miss again until probably next year at some point. Amar 2 times official writes, tell B more I said get a real legit number one wide receiver. Like, please. Oh, and over 6 feet. They're thinking Rashad Bateman is going to be that for them. And he's not over 6 feet, but they think he's got number one wide receiver qualities, which is why they spent a first round pick on him. And he's just coming back from his injury. I think he, came back like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's just settling in, and they really like him. And he's been making plays for them. At one point, every one of his catches went for a first down. That streak got broken last week, but he looked good tonight too, So we'll see. They might have drafted themselves a real number one wide receiver. Only time will tell. Also, Amar 2 times official writes, looks like we're due for another weird week in the NFL. Washington football team 27, Tampa Bay 20, LOL. No. Again, like even last week where we had a bunch of upsets, crazy games, every game wasn't an upset, right? Still teams that were supposed to win won and did what they were supposed to do. Just chalk Tampa Bay up to one of those teams doing what they're supposed to do. They're not going to lose the game. There may be 2 or 3 more upsets. We're just not going to be one of them. Okay. Again, Tom Brady doesn't get upset very often. Okay. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys can get upset. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills can get upset. Why? Those aren't veteran quarterbacks with Super Bowl winning pedigree. Okay. Those are teams that are trying to find their way, and they slip up every now and again. It happens. Derek Carr can go on the road and allow his Raiders team to get beat by the Giants. Right. Okay. Matthew Stafford. I keep talking about this. Yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he ain't never been in a position like this where shit is expected of him. He's always been the underdog on the Detroit Lions. Like, I want to see how he handles this pressure. He's never really been in this position before. So, yeah, they can get a mud hole stomped in them at the crib, and that be an upset. Even though the Titans were a good football team, nobody expected them. They were a 7-point underdog on the road. Everybody expected them to lose that game, and they smoked them. But none of those guys are Tom Brady. Okay? Tom Brady doesn't allow his team to get beat by a team that's not like, when's the last time the Patriots lost a game to a team and you went that wasn't in their division, like to the Dolphins or somebody like that? When's the last time Brady lost a game to the Browns? You're like, what the hell just happened? The Browns are 1-7 and they just beat New England. When's the last time that shit happened? When's the last time you saw the Buccaneers led by Tom Brady lose a game to a team they had no business losing to? Last year, okay, they lost to the Bears. The Bears made the playoffs, and the defense is really good. And they were still trying to figure some shit out. They're not losing to us. Stop. Storm, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Storm writes, AFC is so wacky, man. The collapse of the Pats dynasty has left a hole at the top, and no one wants to fill it. Well, there was a 2-year fill by the Chiefs. They looked like they were ready to take over that mantle. I felt like the Chiefs had passed the torch to them in the baton. But, the Chiefs are like, yeah, man, this shit is a lot harder than we thought. Big ups to the Patriots for holding it down as long as they did. But, yeah, this shit is hot, man. It's a little too hot to handle. Too cold to hold. So, I said it, I want to say on the overtime on Sunday night when the Titans beat the Rams. This shit is wide open in both conferences. Like anybody, like that's why Washington's stinking this year sucks. That's why last year in the NBA, my team not being 2 years ahead of where they are now, and they're right where they're supposed to be in terms of their growth and maturation. But if they were 2 years ahead of the curve, the NBA last year with all the injuries and LeBron and company getting hurt and getting bounced in the first round, and the Nets having their injuries and getting bounced, and all of the injuries we saw in the playoffs last year, opening it up for Giannis to win it. It was the only time Giannis was going to get a chance to win a chip. I said, boy, you better go. You better stop bullshitting and get this ring because you won't get another chance. This kind of feels like that. Like, man, I wish my team was good. My Grizzlies weren't ready, to make any noise. We were just happy to be in the playoffs last year. We weren't ready to go make no noise. But damn, I'm looking around and I'm saying, boy, I wish my team was half decent. Anybody's got a shot. You could be a 7 seed and win the Super Bowl this year. No bullshit. They're in the dominant team in either conference. The closest thing I still think, and the Rams are like, yo, we not dominant yet, but we going to get there, goddammit, or we going to die trying. And we going to acquire every player possible in the process of trying to do it. They're trying. We got to see how it meshes and melds together. But they're trying. I still think the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC. And until somebody proves otherwise, I still think the Buccaneers are the class of the NFC. But I think they can be beaten. I don't think that they're invincible because they've got so many injuries. I think they are vulnerable defensively. I think Brady in that offense is still ridiculous, though. And on the AFC side of things, it's wide open. I still don't know who's who. I still don't know what's what. I don't believe the Tennessee Titans are going to be representing the AFC. I don't believe that, especially with Derrick Henry going down. You know, this is fun what they're doing, and it's cute, but this isn't what the AFC is going to be all about. Oh, the Tennessee Titans. Like, no, they got some momentum right now. They're feeling themselves. They've won some games in a row. And now they're feeling like, all right, maybe we can do this shit. But it's some other teams out there that are going to have something to say about it before it's all said and done. It's just, it's wide open. It's wide open. Red Wings 01 writes, I know you haven't watched the whole thing yet, but man, that Pittsburgh UNC game was something else. It was what Ole Miss Liberty should have been. Both QBs showed out. Again, I'm going to watch it and see what happened there and see what those guys did. And I've seen both of those quarterbacks before, though. So unlike, watching Liberty for the first time and Malik Willis, they won't be my first impression. But anytime you see a guy and they play well, that can't hurt, right? It can only help. So, I can't wait to take a look at it. Metaphor writes, be more playing like the Washington football team defense. Officiating a bit spotty, though. Flores challenged, you're talking about Andrews. Challenged catch was actually a catch, turned the game. They thought they saw enough to change it. I thought because of the call on the field, it would stand. But their in-house official, Mike Pereira, who used to be the head of NFL officiating, said, no, the ball clearly hits the ground. He saw enough to overturn it, so that's good enough for me. If he sees it, he's generally right. Like he hits it like a 97.8% clip. So when Mike says, nah, this is what it is, that's what it is. I don't disagree with Mike. Niners fan says, looks like Flores studied the Bengals tape coming with all those disguised zero blitzes, and Dolphins OC was in his bag tonight. I don't know if you could say if that's the Dolphins offensive coordinator being in his bag tonight. Oh shit. I would love to see what it looks like when he's not in his bag. Because if that's him in his bag and they mustered a whole 15 points, take away the scoop and score from the defense, and got in the red zone 3 times and had to settle for 2 field goals. If he was in his bag tonight, oh shit. I want to see what it looks like when he's not in his bag. But no, to your point, they came after Baltimore. They came after them. And some of these zero blitzes weren't even disguised. Some of them were. Most of them weren't. Most of them was literally Lamar standing at the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds left on the play clock, looking at the Dolphins and staring at 7 defenders mugging the line of scrimmage, knowing that every single one of them was coming on a blitz and that he couldn't block it up, only had 6 in protection. Someone's coming hot. I got to get rid of this thing. I kept waiting for Lamar to pump fake a guy and then elude him, or to outrun a guy's angle and beat contain and then make a big play. It just never happened. It never happened. Gregory Lightbody says, how far do you think the Rams will go with Odell? Don't know. Don't know how he's going to mesh and fit in that offense. I think that offense is tailor-made for his skill set. But then again, I thought the same thing for Deshaun Jackson, and he's no longer in LA. So we'll see. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson and Odell Beckham Jr. are two different players with two different skill sets. But I thought Deshaun Jackson would be perfect for that play-action fake offense to drive it down the field. And apparently they didn't feel like he was a big enough asset to them, and he didn't get a ton of playing time, and he wanted out. So we'll see. We'll see what Odell Beckham Jr. does for that offense. Let's see. Amar, 2 times official, writes, he says, I think I might take back what I said about trading for Tua. 1, he's better than all the QBs coming out. 2, we have better pieces on offense here in Washington. I can't confirm nor deny number 1, and I think you're wrong about number 2. So there's that. Atlas says, I take back what I said last week. Ravens are frauds. Might as well crown the Browns the division winners already. Every week, there's a new team that's a fraud, Atlas. Is your team a fraud? Are the Buccaneers a fraud? We know the answer to that, but everybody can't be a fraud. Everybody can't be a fraud. Red Wings 01 writes, even though Pitt won and Pickett was great, Howell was the star of the show. His grit, his toughness were on full display. Battled back behind a horrible offensive line. When this whole process got underway, I'll just tell you what my initial thoughts were. When this whole process got underway, watching him from afar last year and, when he had talent, which was last year, I thought Sam Howell was the best of this draft class. When he had De'Ami Brown and he had the other kid that I don't know why I can't think of his name. But the 2 receivers got drafted this year. And then he lost his 2 running backs, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. And it hurt him. It put a lot of the onus on his shoulders. And they've got some other talented players at UNC. But, those were the guys that really made plays for him. And I thought early on in the season he was pressing, trying to overcome the lack of those, running backs no longer being there and not having some of those receivers. I think Sam Howell's really talented. I do think there are a few defects in his game, but I want to watch him some more because I thought before the season got underway, he would be the first quarterback taken, but I haven't loved what I've seen from him this season, but there could be more to that story. So we'll see. HHC Lunar says, I called that upset tonight and made a few bucks too. It was a good night, but praying for Jacoby, though, that was not pretty. He's fine. They said he could have come back into the game, but they just Flores decided to go with Tua. Jacoby Brissett wasn't right. Part of his game is his mobility, his pocket mobility. He's not like a great scrambler, but he's nimble enough in the pocket to create more time for himself. And without that mobility, without that pocket mobility, he is a shell of himself, which isn't saying much. So he just decided to go with Tua instead. Good for you. Good for you making some bucks tonight. Captain Spartan 04 writes, I mean, as a Steelers fan, I'm happy the Ravens lost. But as a Louisville fan, I'm upset because now he'll be in a bad mood this weekend when we retire his jersey. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's showing up for a good cause. He'll be fine. You should be happy that they lost. HHC Lunar says, Dolphins could get hot here. Could they? Really? Let's take a look at the schedule and see if you're right. They got to have a bye week coming up here shortly. Let's see. They play in 10 days versus the Jets. That's winnable. Then the Panthers. That's winnable. Then the Giants. You're right. They could get hot here. Jets, Panthers, Giants, Jets, Saints, Titans, Patriots to wrap up. So they could literally win 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. And who knows what the Saints will be when they see them. They could win 6 in a row. It probably will be too little too late. 6 in a row only gets them to 7-7 on the season. right? But that'll be a far cry and a hell of a turnaround from the 1-7 start they started off the season with. And if they do find a way to do that, even if, let's say they slip up in one of those games, the likelihood is they're not going to win 6 in a row. Let's say they win 5 out of the 6 games, though. 2 that they already won, and 3 out of the next 4 that they're going to play. And they end up, after that stretch of games, 6-8. That would make it 2 out of 3 years with the one really good year sandwich in between, where this Dolphins team looked left for dead, like one of the worst teams in football, and then Brian Flores and his team turned it around and played competent football to finish up. Remember what they looked like in 2019? Remember? Everybody was convinced, oh, they're tanking for the number 1 overall pick. I mean, like what they did against Washington, that shit is criminal in 42 states to throw a game the way that they threw it. They had all the momentum. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in. They are absolutely scorching us on offense. We can't stop them. Okay. They score a touchdown with about 4 seconds left in regulation. They kick the extra point. That game goes to overtime. They are going to beat us. And remember, we were 0-5. They were 0-5 going into that game. Neither one of us had won. And they went for 2, and they ran the most pathetic 2-point conversion play you've ever seen. And I said, oh, that's it. They are definitely going for the number 1 pick. They did. I mean, they didn't even try. They ran a 2-yard bubble screen with a dude that hadn't practiced all week. Like they couldn't have done anything worse to try to sabotage that opportunity other than fumble the snap and just fall on it. And then they rallied after, 3 weeks later, they rallied and won like 5 out of their next 7. And next thing you know, look at the Dolphins. They're not as bad as we thought. They could do that again this year. Because I left them for dead 3 weeks ago. I forget what game it was, but they looked pitiful. Let's see. I guess it was that Bills game. Even though they fought in that game, I guess I might have been tripping because they fought against the Falcons. They fought against the Bills. The last ass whooping was really the Buccaneers game. I might be thinking about another bad team. I might have been thinking about another bad team. I think I might have been thinking about the Jags or somebody because they've been fighting. They've been fighting the last month or so. They just haven't been able to find a way to win. They fought over in London against the Jags and came up short. They fought against the Falcons, had them on the ropes, fell short in that game. They fought against Buffalo. That game was like, 9-3 in the fourth quarter. Like they were hanging on in that game, and then the Bills ran away and hid in that game. Like they've been fighting, man. They've been fighting, and it finally starts to pay off. They beat Houston. They just needed one. They got it. Now, you're right. You're right, HHC Lunar. They could get on a little hot streak. Again, too little, too late. Don't think it's going to actually factor into the AFC playoffs. But for whatever it's worth, when they start showing that graphic in the hunt, Dolphins could end up being in that graphic. And who thought at 1-7 they'd ever be in any in the hunt graphic in the AFC? Derek B, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Derek B writes, as well as the Dolphins played, they still did Dolphins-ish to try to give the game away. Stupid penalties and Byron Jones playing hero ball. Yeah, he got beat on that deep ball. Luckily enough, he was able to make that tackle. But, what are you doing right there? Come on, guy. Don't give that big play up, late in the ball game. Yeah, they had stupid penalties, especially down by the end zone. But again, bad teams do bad team shit. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why I thought they were going to lose. I mean, how many times can you get down inside the 5? They had it at the 1-yard line one time, went backwards in reverse to settle for a field goal. They had it again at the 1, then they went backwards, then they went forwards, and they finally scored the touchdown. But I thought they were going to have to settle for another field goal. And if they did, I said they're going to lose this game 21-18 in overtime. And they deserved to lose if they didn't score that touchdown, but they did. They ultimately did score the touchdown. Even the fumble that Tua had that they didn't scoop up, that Patrick Queen, leisurely tried to pick up. If he picks that thing up, he's gone. It's a touchdown. It's a totally different ball game. But, Liam Eichenberg dove on that football and saved the day. They tried to give it away. They tried. But the Ravens wanted to lose this game more. But I don't want to take anything away from the Dolphins. They made enough winning plays tonight to win this football game. Red Wings 01 writes, I'm not a fan of Tua as a player, but I have nothing but respect for his character and toughness. I agree with 2/3 of that statement. I believe in Tua a little bit more so than most, but I'm with you on his character and his toughness, man. This dude, you can tell he's a hell of a teammate. I see him interacting with Jacoby Brissett over there, cheering on Jacoby Brissett. I think nothing but good things when I see him, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's the perfect guy in the locker room. Like, even if Tua doesn't turn out to be a competent NFL starter, I think he'll make one hell of a backup quarterback and a guy that'll be in this league for 12 to 15 years if he wants to be, just off the strength of him being a likable guy, from all accounts being a smart guy, and like you said, the toughness that he shows as well. So Captain Spartan 04 writes, I think Ryan Pace would be the perfect GM for the Dolphins, assuming that they trade for Watson. He does good with no first-round picks, and he has have a stable head coach and a QB. I mean, I'm not willing to give up on the Dolphins GM, and I think he's actually done a really good job, and Greer, and so I'm not willing to give up on him. And I know you're not necessarily saying they need to get rid of their GM to bring in Pace. You're just saying he would be a great fit for their organization and what he does, and the things that he doesn't do well. The Dolphins already have that, so they don't need him to do that. Abdul G says, is that Dolphin shit, Louie? Is that Dolphin shit, Louie? Yeah. Remember, I used to say that's that Dolphin shit. That wasn't it tonight, though. They tried a couple of times, but they resisted the urge to have me say that tonight. Good for them. I thought they just played their asses off tonight. Niners fan says, Lou, I like Tua, but his arm just isn't that great. That deep throw to Waddle, it looked like he put all of his effort into it, and he still underthrew it a little bit. You know what is crazy is that didn't used to be one of Tua's issues. I never thought he had the strongest arm, but I thought he had a strong enough arm. And I still, in my mind, chalk some of that up to the hip. Remember, we're only 1 year removed from the surgery. And so I'm with you. I thought that throw to Waddle, I don't think he put all of his might into it, but it looked like he gave it a good chuck. You know what I mean? And I was expecting it. In those situations, you rather underthrow your guy than overthrow it, right? Because he's so wide open. Worst case scenario, you want him to catch it. You don't want him to, you don't want to overthrow it and miss him. And the Waddle had the safety bearing down on him on that play. It needed to get there. It got there. Took a while to get there, though. I'm with you. It didn't get there in the manner that you would like to see it get there, but it got there. That's all that matters. I don't think he has the strongest arm in the world, but he can get it there. He can get it to anywhere on the field that he wants. Remember, this was the guy that won the Elite 11 passing camp once upon a time with some heavy hitters that year. Like Tua was the guy that saved the day at Alabama in the national championship game against Georgia. And he made some throws, and he's made throws throughout his career at Alabama. We know he's capable of making those types of throws. I just think it's the hip and him not being able to get the torque that he normally gets, because power comes from your lower body when you're throwing the football. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. There could be no validity to that, and I can't confirm nor deny any of what I just said. But that's how I make myself feel better about Tua looking like he just put all of his might into a throw and having it still look like it's struggling to get there. So I know where you're coming from on that one, though, for sure. HHC Lunar says Dolphins could go on a run here, not a playoff run, but like a 6-11 run. Yeah, I don't. think they're going to win, all 4 of their, the next games that they have coming up and get on this 6-game heater. But I think I could see them winning 3 out of their next 4 and winning 5 out of their last 6. And, that's 6 wins right there. I could see them beating the Saints. I could see them beating the Patriots in week 17. Anyway, we'll see what happens. They're not making the playoffs, though. That's essentially what I want to make sure I convey to everybody. Even if they get on a heater, I don't see them winning out, which is probably what it would take to make the playoffs in the AFC because there's so many teams. I mean, hell, the AFC North has all 4 teams at 5 wins as we currently sit here, right? 5 or better because the Ravens have 6. So, it's getting crazy. The Indianapolis Colts are on the come, in the AFC South. Titans are definitely making some noise. The AFC West all of a sudden is crazy because just like the AFC North, all 4 teams have 5 wins or more, which is asinine because we left the Broncos for dead a couple of weeks with dirt on them with the shovel in the grave. And we're like, we'll be back to put the rest of the dirt on you. We're going to take a break. And we came back and the Broncos had taken themselves out of the casket. You're like, wait. How did you get out of there? We put dirt on you and we left the shovel. It's like, oh, man, that wasn't enough dirt. And the casket wasn't closed all the way. So, yeah, they're not making the playoffs. Playoffs? They're not making the playoffs. But they can make it interesting. Last comment. We've already exceeded our hour mark. And I do have a super chat that I need to get to before we get out of here. Derek B. writes, the Hunt non-touchdown was worth the price of admission and an inspiration to us big men everywhere. I loved it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, so much so that I tweeted out about it. And I rarely tweet during football games, but for some reason, the spirit hit me when that happened. And I just had to share my joy with everyone else because that was so awesome. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Love the replay even more of him stretching out and, as he's getting chopped down as a big tree. I love the freeze frame of him just stretching that bad boy over the goal line. There's receivers and running backs that don't have the presence of mind to do that. And here it is, a 320-pound offensive guard with the wherewithal and the know-how to reach that bad boy over the goal line. There's some tight end somewhere in his past. Somewhere he handled the rock, okay? He hasn't always been this big oaf of an offensive lineman. Somewhere back in the day, Robert Hunt, he used to touch the football. That was too good. That was too good for him not to have had some experience as a tight end somewhere in his former past life. Anyway, I got a super chat. I'm going to take that and we can get out of here. See. Got a super chat here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm pretty sure I did not. I didn't. Got a super chat here from Havoc6927. Thank you for the super chat, Havoc6927. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, media said they trusted the Ravens over the Titans. Yeah. And you know what, though? That still could happen. That still could happen. But I don't trust this Ravens team. I've already said that. This is a house of cards being held together by Lamar Jackson's heroics week in, week out. This defense isn't that good. They rely on being over aggressive and scaring teams into mistakes. And if you got a good quarterback and you got a competent offense, you'll see right through that mirage of their defense. Like, okay, like the Raiders did. Like, okay, you want to blitz me? Fine, bring that shit. I'm gonna go up top on your ass. I don't have time for this shit. Okay, you want to bring 7? You want to go 0 blitz across the board? Okay, I'm gonna make you pay. I don't have time for this. Ravens couldn't do it tonight, but you get a good enough quarterback and an offense that's got enough playmakers, and they'll see right through that shit and carve that shit up. And that's what the Bengals did. Okay, you want to come with some pressure? Okay, fine. Don't worry about it. Catch this slant, break a tackle, off to the races. Like, I don't have time for this shit. So we'll see. The Ravens may ultimately, just like the last 2 years, those two teams may meet in the postseason. The Titans won 2 years ago. The Ravens got them back last year. I would sign me up for part 3 of that sequel. It's been good, especially the last game. Mysterio McManus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, my Ravens have been exposed. Shaking my head. Yeah, I don't want to say exposed because not everybody has what the Dolphins have. Not everybody can do what the Dolphins did tonight. However, the book is out there. Hey, come after Lamar's ass, be over aggressive, and make them beat you throwing it. Don't sit back there and let Lamar have time and let him survey the field and find a wide open Mark Andrews. No. You come after his ass. You make Lamar make a quick decision and live with the consequences. And we'll see if it's a copycat league, and we'll see if other teams take heed to this. But again, not everybody has the Dolphins secondary. Not everybody has the Bengals secondary. Bengals got some dogs out there in their secondary, like Jesse Bates III. Like, you got to have some dogs to do what the Dolphins and Bengals did to the Ravens the last 2 out of 3 weeks. You can't just do it with just anybody. So we'll see. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me here on this installment of Thursday Night Football Overtime. If that's any indication of what's to come for this week, then we may be in for another crazy, wild, wacky week of NFL professional tackle football. But I reserve judgment on that. Generally we get crazy weeks when we don't expect it. So I think a lot of people now, after this game in the last 2 weeks, we're going to get another wacky week. I don't know about that. NFL always has a curveball waiting. When you think you have no idea. So we will see. But what a performance by the Miami Dolphins tonight. I definitely didn't see this coming. I thought that they could be competitive. I thought they would be competitive. I thought this game would be close, but I also thought they would lose and that the Dolphins would win it going away. The Ravens would win it going away. And I couldn't have been more wrong. That Dolphins defense was stout throughout the night. They were aggressive. They tackled well. They applied pressure to the Ravens offense, and the Ravens did not handle it well at all. And they forced the Ravens into mistakes. Hell, even Justin Tucker missed a field goal. That's never a good thing. That's a bad omen if you're a Ravens fan. Justin Tucker misses a field goal, you're going to lose the game. Remember when he missed against Buffalo in the playoffs? I'm like, oh, shit, they're going to lose this game. Okay. Justin Tucker misses a field goal. That's not a good thing. I mean, not that any kicker missing a field goal is ever a good thing. But when Justin Tucker misses, who rarely ever misses, okay, yeah, this is not probably going to end well for the Ravens tonight. So anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Dolphins 22, Ravens 10. Dolphins 2 in a row now after starting the season 1-7 and had lost 7 straight after winning in week 1 against the New England Patriots. They have now won 2 in a row. Look out for the Miami Dolphins all of a sudden. Meanwhile, for the Ravens, you know what? They probably had this one coming to them. For all of the Indy games and the Lions games and, the Vikings games that were out there and all these games and the Chiefs game that they got away with late, they probably were due for one of these. So they're now 6-3. And they left a golden opportunity on the field at Hard Rock Cafe tonight because they should be 7-2 tied with the Tennessee Titans atop the AFC Conference. They should be a game clear a game and a half clear of everyone in the AFC North division. And instead, with a win on Sunday, I don't know, the Steelers with a win on Sunday could be tied atop the AFC North at 6-3. I think both the Browns and Bengals are 5-4, and neither have had their bye week yet. But the Steelers have, and they could tie the Ravens up, and every team in that division, for that matter, if they play this week, has a chance to tie the Ravens in the win column. And they let a golden opportunity slip through their fingers tonight. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow for the Louie T Network podcast. Until then, you guys take it easy. Remember, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. If you haven't already done so, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button, as it helps this channel grow exponentially. Until next time, you guys have a great night. God bless, and good night.